Hey everyone, State Representative Eric Davanzo here from the 58th Legislative District.
And I'm State Representative Eric Nelson from the 57th Legislative District.
And we are E-squared. Hey listen, last week was such a great hit. We're back this week for more, but we brought the heat, humidity with us. It's pretty sticky and pretty hot out there.
Oh yeah, I'm glad those rolling brownouts haven't started yet, because well, AC is the key.
AC is the key, and also walking up those steps this morning in front of that Capitol, man, oh yeah.
I was taking it off. I shed the outer layer,
I got another 40, 50 pounds more than you on it, but.
Or 60, but we won't get into that right now.
Well, that's that Harrisburg math that we don't know about, but.
Speaking of Harrisburg math, it's budget week, right?
Budget week, week. I want to back up though. You mentioned the rolling brownouts. So in Harrisburg, and we have a transformer, I guess out in Scottdale that can't hold the load. So we are 12 hours on power, 12 hours off.
Getting ready for the future.
And listen, the Scottdale Fire Department teamed up with West Penn. They are out there hosing down the transformer so that folks could have electricity the best that they can. So supposedly it's getting switched out today, but in this temperatures and this high heat here, we talk about the folks back home. Let's really give a shout out to our volunteer firefighters and our EMS workers in this heat, because they have to go, no matter what we do right now with this heat.
Firefighters, police, EMS. Credit to all those linemen that are getting it done. It's not, and it's important, as we're looking at these potentially approaching brownouts, because that is crazy policy here in Harrisburg, executive orders.
Which we covered last week?
Yeah. I mean, they forced closure of more power plants, and now these strange incidents are happening.
They're happening,
and, but our firemen, the policemen, our hospitals, our linemen, it's not them, right?
Oh yeah, it's not them.
It's here.
It's here. It is here. However, we got to make that phone call back home to them to bail us out. So thank you to our first responders, our linemen, everybody that's out there giving it their all in this 100-degree heat. We thank you. We could not do this without you.
What's crazy? In my mind, I'm thinking, and I know I deal with electrical shock from time to time.
Well, you need shocked a little bit.
To tell a volunteer fireman, hold this hose over electric and spray an electrical transformer.
Doesn't even sound right, does it?
No, it sounds backwards. At least they're giving them rubber boots.
Well, so is that the time that you send that young kid out there?
Yeah, that's the new guy. that's the gas mask recruit. That's what we used to call him in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Hey, here he is, front and center. Who wants to hold the hose? Everybody does, right? There you go.
Yeah.
Well, this doesn't even sound right. But speaking of back home, we, for the first time, softball was canceled because of the heat. Because of the heat, it was too hot.
They're getting soft.
I know they're getting soft. But listen, not in the Davanzo household. So last night I just took a night off from everything, went out and got a pizza and FaceTime Brielle, and we did some hitting virtually. I am IT challenged.
But that's pretty impressive. Virtual hitting,
Yes, so. Thank God for FaceTime. We were able to, as I'm eating pizza.
Did you have your camera face the right way, or did she have to coach you? Hit the button, Dad, spin it.
Well, she would hit it, her phone would fall over and I would have to.
Well, we had a good weekend, kind of a bit of a relaxing weekend as well. It was Sweet Sue's birthday. She's just turned 39 again, and so
I'm really not surprised you didn't give her, because that's something you would do, like you would give her age.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let that fly. But yeah, so we had a wedding with friends. So it was like a birthday celebration, a wedding, and then Gretchen, our number 6, a little bit crazy, but she and a bunch of kids from Hempfield, they launched. She just landed over in France. They're going to be in France and Spain for the next several days. So
she going to run with the bulls?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I did a little bull running. I don't think she's doing any bull running. But credit to the teachers and the districts for going.
Yes, absolutely.
But we also, you got to have a level eye, because there's some crazy stuff happening in the world right now.
Yes, there is.
And so hopefully no bad actors will be trying to
absolutely,
pursue. So they'll keep their heads on a swivel, and you can't back down. You still got to see the world, have courage, and do.
We have to go. You know what I mean? We can't
Speaking of
stop
go, how about
or
there's
not going.
Go Westmoreland, there's transportation, and transportation funding was a big thing that happened last week. And
Yes.
it's one of those things where a little bit is above table and then there's a whole bunch below the table.
Yes,
you know?
and I don't know that folks really understand, the amount of money the transportation needs, not just SEPTA, Pittsburgh, PTR, but our infrastructure dollars as well. It seems like we haven't invested a lot in our infrastructure. You can see it when you drive down the roads. And at some point in time, we have to pay for that. But what is parity? How much money do we give to SEPTA a year?
SEPTA gets over $1 billion a year.
$1 billion.
And that's they're taking the whole thing, 1.7 billion comes from everyone's sales tax, gets siphoned off, and then falls offline. So there's no accountability there. They say that they don't have enough money to operate, but at the same time, there's not an exchange. You're giving $1 billion a year to a transportation system that openly is saying it's not meeting the needs of either the people or the organization, but they're not paying their fair share either. And that's the part that's frustrating for me.
Yeah, so what does it cost? We've seen some charts, $2.50 for an all-day bus ride?
Well, this is one of those things. It's them and us. So Westmoreland County, if a worker's in Greensburg and he's just gonna, or she's gonna drive the bus from Greensburg to New Stanton, that's an $8 round trip they have to pay, $4 one way. If they're in Philly, it's $2.50 for them to be able
What's
to.
that again? How much?
$2.50 in Philly, and they get over $1 billion, and we get this small portion, but they're trying to leverage us, and our workers have to pay $8. So we make less than they do, and they ride for less. It's just, and then of course, what are your thoughts? I like Pittsburgh, I like the T, but there's some inequity there.
Yeah. There's some folks that you can ride it for free just about, right? Isn't that what we're doing? I mean,
it is. And at first, I didn't believe it. So of course, ChatGPT, I'm looking it up, I'm talking to and you can ride the T anywhere in the city 24/7 for free. Doesn't cost them a dime to do.
But how do we maintain that?
Yeah. Well, that's the
Who's
question.
paying to maintain it?
And
right?
that vote, that transportation vote, they're riding 24/7 for free in the city, $2.75 if they go outside the city and doing other things. We're paying $4. They get $40 million out of that vote. We're right beside them. We're getting about $1 million. And transportation is important, but that formula is out of whack.
Definitely. Our staff can't go to work for $2.50.
Oh, no way.
Nobody can. Who here can go to work for $2.50?
I mean, I got to have that machine to clear my error codes to get our cars inspected. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, especially if I got Brielle in a car, because you got to pull in Duncan.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So now that $8 trip is $28 trip. But that's a story for really, another
and then
day.
That we go back to the oversight. When we're taking, they're going to have over 10% of the entire state's sales tax dollars will be pulled off. Plus, they want to take $300 million from the existing budget and send it, right? 85 of every $100 is going to Philly and Pittsburgh. And who they taking that $300 million from? Because the budget's already tight. We're already overspending. And of course, they're just saying, well, it's coming out of the bucket. Right? They're taking $300 million out of an already under-invested budget to give to our largest cities.
So hold on. They're going to take more money from the sales tax, right? So if we buy something for $3, there's 18 cents there. They're taking how much of that?
That's pretty good math on your part.
It's that yacht math.
That's good. So they will take, if this transportation bill goes through, over 10% of everybody. So every time someone pays, they get 10%. And that's the above line and below line. That will happen automatically. And then there's a kicker. That's the worst part about it. So that's just this year. In 2028, they get another slice of that pie. And so they'll take even more money, and it's automatically set up We don't even know what the situation is going to be in 2028.
We have no idea.
They're lining, and it's the accountability piece. You know, they bought SEPTA, number year, $750,000 for an electric bus. You know,
I know where this is headed. I know where this is headed.
And I'm not anti-electric, but when you spend $750,000 on a bus that lasts 4 years, and then they have it in the bus graveyard, and guess what happens?
I seen it. It was a pretty decent fire there a few months ago.
Decent. First of all, how do you have a bus graveyard? So a battery bus catches on fire, catches 40 buses on fire, burns up 40 buses.
So wait a minute. We have a bus powered by a battery in a graveyard already. They're not that old.
That was that was so they bought that. If at today's prices, and everything is more expensive, if they'd have bought a natural gas bus, it's a brand new natural gas 2025, $750,000. It'll last 10 to 12 years. That was 2017. They bought a bus for $750,000. That was before the craziness of COVID. It lasts 4 years.
You think they overpaid?
I wonder about the world of oversight. And I think that's part of our frustration, because I totally understand they got a lot of people in the cities, and folks need public transportation.
Correct.
But our folks need, if you're an old person, you need to get to the grocery store or the pharmacy, and our system, a worker can't get to work. So those folks are stuck in the city because if you don't have a car, it's really hard to work where we live.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you mentioned oversight, and I think that's where everyone's frustration is, because we'll see on a future episode when we dive into the budget. But we need the oversight. We're hitting a tipping point, a cliff where we just can't afford. Hey, listen, we need another $500 million. It isn't like that money is. Oh, look, I got it right here for you. It's not there anymore. And let's not forget. So, $350 million we want to give SEPTA. What about the $153 million that Shapiro took, that he so-called flexed, stole from rural Pennsylvania?
Hey, wouldn't that be nice? Again, we were saying 22 counties, you can't have a baby. We can't flex anything for our rural population.
Nothing.
You know,
nothing.
I know we could beat that and the transportation people, good people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pittsburgh transportation, good people.
Good people.
But 24/7 for free is out of balance.
It's not sustainable.
You know, and I think that the better way, is a transparent process where folks are held accountable, and that's what we're fighting for.
Correct. Yeah. No, and I think that's a solution. There was an amendment on the floor for the $500 million for infrastructure. I believe we both supported that.
Absolutely.
Because we know we need infrastructure, but it's how do you neglect one and you're throwing triple at the other side, where there's no transparency, there's no accountability, and it's just the same cry, hey, we need more, and it's like, hold on.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a pretty good stopping point for today's episode. We got 2 down successfully. We made it through.
That's exactly right. Hopefully we don't get ran over by a Pat bus.
Yeah, and they didn't silence my mic during this episode. So,
well, they tried. They did try.
They'll get me on the floor again.
As they should sometimes.
See you, everyone.
Later.